I was really feeling bad. I wish I would have heard my brother's advice and started investing in stock markets and bitcoins. Hopefully, I would have had enough money to get another seat on his plane.
You are sitting on a chair and this chair is turning at a very high speed, 30 rotation per minute, and you need to support it during 15 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. You know, you are getting sick very fast.
I wonder if they actually choose people voluntarily to travel to space. If they do that, I am going to apply and I will go to space. I mean, this is what I said, the never-ending saga of me going to space. But yeah. Hello everyone and welcome back to the season 2, episode 14 of Space Smurfs, a podcast where we mostly discuss about space stuff, but we also end up rambling about a range of other topics from K-pop to NFTs. This is your host, Aleena Joseph, the potentially spaced out space person, and
your host Pooja, who is the wandering stargazer, aka the sky explorer. And we hope you've been doing well so far in your week. Thank you for joining us today. And for anyone who's joining us for the first time today, we are the podcast team of the Asia Pacific Oceania Space Association, or APOSA, which is a sustainable space community development initiative at the Asia Pacific level. And through this initiative of Space Smurfs, our aim is basically to bring you with the plethora of topics that space offers us, wrapped in a lot of fun and laughter.
Exactly. And so far, we have covered a lot of topics, like I have always been saying, from space art to space architecture and whatnot, right? And now I would like you guys to remember something or to recollect something from a previous episode, which we did on space elevators, that was with our expert, Dr. Peter Swan. Pooja, I bet you are recalling what I'm about to say, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, I remember. Dr. Peter Swan made that conversation. In that conversation, made it sure that my dreams of going to space can actually be a reality. So I was really intrigued. So he spoke about something called a space tourism, but we didn't really have the time to discuss further on that topic, did we?
Exactly. And that's the reason why today we are having an exclusive session on space tourism. And again, the never-ending saga of me and my co-host and the experts trying to send me to the space using space tourism. So, well, it continues. And today on this episode, we have none other than Mr. Boris Otter, who is the president and founder of Swiss Space Tourism, talking to us about space tourism. I just can't wait to know more about the concept, the idea, the opportunities, and also the challenges of this future tourism sector. Hello, Mr. Otter. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. So thank you very much for your invitation. And today's subject will be, of course, space tourism. Okay, let me introduce myself. First of all, so I'm 53 years old. I'm living in Geneva, Switzerland. I have a background aeronautical. I made an airline pilot transport license. I flew also helicopters, seaplanes, and gyrocopters. And additionally to this, I passed also aerobatic pilot license. So let's say like I'm like a little Tom Cruise in Maverick, something like this. Okay, wow. So basically how I came to space tourism. It started already a long time ago, because in 1994, I was going to Russia to fly a military jet. And I was able to be in command of a Sukhoi 27. It's really a huge military jet of Russia. And when I was doing this flight, I got 6 Gs of acceleration. And after that, several years passed and I made my pilot license. And when I was aerobatic pilot, I was making 0 G flights, you know, just parabola like this. And during 5-6 seconds, I was able to feel what is weightlessness and 0 gravity. And it was so incredible and amazing that I decided to do it longer. And one of the options for me was to make a 0 G flight on board a cargo aircraft. And how I would do that? I was thinking, okay, first of all, which company are offering this kind of flights? And it was 3 companies, one in USA, one in France, and one in Russia. And after analyzing all of the options, I understood that the best option for me was to fly with a company from Russia, because they had the biggest aircraft, higher ceiling, and the least people on board. So I booked myself a ticket at the price of $6,000 more or less. So it's really expensive price. And I was able in this case to go to Star City in 2016 and to fly 0G during 10 parabolas. So 10 times I was absolutely floating inside the aircraft like an astronaut, like cosmonaut, completely free. And I was having this impression of being in space. And I was thinking, okay, what's the next level? I mean, but the next level, it's to cross a Kármán line and to go to space and to have the overview effect, to see the blue planet from your own eyes, to get the overview effect, and to become officially an astronaut. So that's why I decided to create a company. This is an association called Swiss Space Tourism.
Thank you for such a brief and interesting introduction of how you got into space tourism. I'm sure our audiences would love to interact with you. And that's exactly what Space Smurfs is going to do. We're going to give you an opportunity to talk to Mr. Otter himself on 17th of September at 6 p.m. IST. So make sure that you're following us on Instagram. All the links are going to be in the description box below. And you can join us. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to talk to someone as interesting and as amazing and dynamic as Mr. Otter. And I think let's continue our smurfing along with that. Aleena, didn't you have something that you wanted to ask Mr. Otter?
Exactly. And the first question that I had on my mind was actually something connecting with what Mr. Otter just mentioned about, like how he ended up in this industry, right? So, Mr. Otter, I mean, I think along with me, the audience will be also so interested to hear about your experiences from the aeronautical industry, being a pilot trainer to private cosmonaut training, and how you made a company on space tourism and everything. So how was that journey like? Like, how did you finally get into where you are at the moment?
Okay, so the idea for me was to train like a cosmonaut. And it's not a lot of places where you can train as a cosmonaut. Actually, if you go, for example, to USA and you reach NASA, they will not provide you any training of a professional type. You know, if you go there, you will have possibility to visit some facilities, to make maybe some simulators, but it's more looking like Disneyland because it's really for fun. I'm speaking about professional cosmonaut training. And the only way and the only place where you can get it, it's in Russia with Roscosmos. And Roscosmos was giving me this possibility to train and to make a lot of cosmonaut modules, which I did. Like, for example, I went into the simulator of Soyuz spacecraft. Inside this simulator, I was able to train on how to dock a Soyuz spacecraft to the International Space Station. I mean, it's just amazing because you can imagine that you are sitting on the commander seat and with two little joysticks, you are simulating to be in space and with a system of cross like this to reach with your capsule, the International Space Station docking port. And this I did. I mean, for the first time, I was able to connect. Of course, I was helped with an instructor because you need much more than one time to be able to success in this kind of very difficult things. But it is possible. Next things I did also, it's to train with a Sokol space suit. Sokol space suit, it's this white space suit all cosmonaut and astronaut who are flying on board a Soyuz rocket are putting on. It's protecting them in case of loss of oxygen or air inside the capsule, depressurization, let's say like this. And it's absolutely also crazy because you are not putting what you can buy just in a shop. It's a real space suit which went to space. I was wearing the space suit of a Russian cosmonaut who went 6 months to space and came back inside this space suit. After, they are not throwing them away. They keep them in case cosmonaut is flying back one more time, or they can use it also for a space tourist who wants to train and to put it on. Next thing that I did, it's also a selection of cosmonaut. You know, it's called the rotating chair. You are sitting on a chair, and this chair is turning at a very high speed, 30 rotation per minute, and you need to support it during 15 minutes, which is absolutely crazy. You know, you are getting sick very fast. It's like to go on a fishing boat with a heavy storm outside, and you are shaking left, right, and furthermore, you need to put your head left and right on every 2 seconds, beep, beep. So it's difficult, but you need, with training, to pass these tests. Next, I was also trying flight simulators. It was an aircraft and helicopter, and since I'm a pilot, it was very easy for me to make that live these simulations, being already in command of this kind of aircraft. And one more point was, of course, a Sukhoi 27 flight. I mean, when you are flying inside a military jet, you get G-forces like a takeoff of a rocket. And this is a reality, it's not simulation. But it's one thing you cannot try when you are a space tourist. You cannot try on ground, you cannot simulate. It's called the overview effect. I mean, if you want to see the planet Earth with your own eyes from a Kármán line, 100 kilometers, you need to go to space. Of course, you can watch video, but it will never give you the feeling of doing it yourself. And this is why now I want to go to space and to get this overview effect, to be above 100 kilometers, to look through the window and to get this big flash of watching the planet, the dark of the universe. This is the next goal of space tourism.
I mean,
that's really amazing, isn't it, Aleena?
Exactly. And the thought, I mean, when he was explaining how the chair that worked, like, you know, turning, I mean, that thought itself, it actually made me feel sick a little bit, because I'm not a person who loves a lot of motion. Actually, like, I do have a lot of motion sickness, but and everything. But the point is, like, you have to go through all such kind of a training when you're traveling to space. And I mean, going to space is not as easy as you guys think, right? Like, it comes with a lot of pains. And of course, I mean, the game is you get to watch this planet, the planet Earth from space. And it's a beautiful thing,
you know,
right?
you know how in so many places we have a very big tourism industry in terms of, you know, trekking, so on and so forth. But there are very difficult grades of treks. For example, there are people who want to trek the Everest and they prepare for years together to be able to, you know, do something like that. I think space in that sense is the ultimate frontier in that sense, because it does test your physical, mental agility, and all sorts of agility. And that actually brings me to my next question to you, Mr. Otter, is how would you actually define space tourism? What exactly is space tourism? What can we call it? And today, as far as technology goes, how far can we really go into space? How long is this, you know, space flight where we can see the Earth? Could you give us some insights into that?
Yes, sure. Okay, let's speak first about definition of space tourism. So definition of space tourism, I will just read it because I no need to learn it by heart, of course. So it is the tourist activity which brings together all of the experiences, training, thrilling flights, which allow people to go into space for non-professional reasons. So it is very clear. I mean, if you go to space and you are not an astronaut or a cosmonaut professional, then you are a space tourist. You can also call it a space flight participant if you are going on a higher level, like orbital flight. But generally speaking, it's all this part of training that will give you possibility to go to space. How far can we go? Actually, our technology is giving us possibility to go till the end of the universe somehow. But we will be limited by what? We will be limited by the water, by the food, and by the mental capability of the people inside the capsule to support a long trip. To be reasonable, we can think that to go around the moon and to come back is more or less the limit that we have. We did it already. We will do it again. Normally in 2023, the billionaire Japanese Yusaku Maezawa should fly with a SpaceX space flight to the moon and back. Okay, to go to Mars, for example, it takes 6 months. Nobody went there. Why? Because first of all, okay, we don't have capabilities yet, technically speaking, to provide food for 6 months, plus the stay on planet Mars, plus the way back. It's more than 1 year, 1.5 years. So it's still something that is not very realistic. But let's keep the limit to the moon. Because if you want to go somewhere else, I mean, you need to use the attraction of the planet to come back. You cannot just stop your engine and turn and come back just like this. You know, it's not realistic to go more far away than the moon or close to the moon. Let's say like this.
And
Wow.
I think
That is a very nice answer, actually.
exactly. And I think the so far episodes that Space Smurfs have done, like we had a talk about space elevators, we had a talk about space law, where we discussed the possibilities of space tourism, and we recently had a talk about space architecture as well. So I think by now our audience are more like imagining about going to space, building a space base there, and trying to. And yeah, I mean, these things, I think it will happen a lot in future. And like Mr. Otter correctly pointed out, like we might even have the technology and capability to go to the end of the universe and to explore. But the possible challenges are that, like, when it comes to, we are mere humans, even if we are just traveling there, we have to depend on food, water, and other life sustainable devices or things to sustain our life throughout the journey. And that makes it quite impossible to explore till the end of the universe. And another thing which I was thinking is that, like, which also leads to the the third question that I have is that can you also share about the civilian space flights that you have already done and about the ones that are yet to come as well?
Okay, about civilian space flights. So, it's basically 3 or 4 companies who can now send space tourists to space. Let's start with Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic, actually, they are not flying anymore. You know that the founder of Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson, he made his own flight to the edge of space. But first of all, he did not cross the Kármán line because he is not able with his spaceship 2 to cross the Kármán line. He's stopping at 90 kilometers of altitude, and Kármán line is 100 kilometers of altitude. It's probably because he doesn't have enough fuel to reach such a level, meaning that they are always stopping at the same level and cannot get higher. And second of all, they had a problem with Federation of aviation authorities in USA because they went outside the box that was given to them to make the flight, meaning that they're taking off, flying, and they should stay inside a certain area so that no other aircraft are disturbed or going into this box. And they went out of it, meaning that it was a safety problem that they encounter. So now they are not flying anymore. For the moment, it's blocked. And I just want to remember also that it's more than 15 years that people paid for ticket. 600 people paid for their ticket, and they're still waiting, meaning that if you were 60 years old, now those people are 75 years old. And it's not so easy to go to space when you are 75 years old than when you are 60. Next company, let's talk about Blue Origin and the New Shepard rocket. This company is absolutely successful. It has already made several flights, sending, including Jeff Bezos, the billionaire and founder of Amazon and Blue Origin, to space. And these people are able to cross Kármán line. They become officially astronaut, and they can go by 6, meaning it's 6 seats available to fly to space with Blue Origin. Next company, SpaceX. SpaceX, of course, they are the most professional because they are able now to send astronauts to the International Space Station. But not only, they made a flight recently, 1 year ago, called Inspiration 4. They took 4 people on board, including a billionaire called Jared Isaacman, who is also a pilot, by the way. And he took command of the spaceship, and he took with him 3 space tourists, meaning 3 people who had, let's say, nothing to do with aviation or with space, but they were invited to go to space during 3 days, meaning it was orbital flights, turning around the planet. During 3 days, they became even more than Yuri Gagarin astronaut, because Yuri Gagarin, he made 1 orbit and he came down. They made during 3 days orbit around the planet. So they are officially now astronauts. And I think that this is just amazing possibilities for space tourists to go to space now. Last one is Axiom. Axiom is not actually a company that is launching rocket, but they are giving possibilities by working with them to go to space and later on maybe to reach space hotels. Because what is a space hotel? Space hotel, it's like an international space station that is done for tourists. You can go and stay in orbit during 2 weeks, for example, and to sleep inside, to watch the view, to make scientific experience if you want, or educative experience, to eat, to make really holidays in space. What is difficult in imagining this kind of thing is that the cost is not acceptable for the people. I mean, if you have to pay 50, 55 millions US dollar to spend 2 weeks there, who can afford it? I mean, it's only if you are a billionaire, very rich, or you are lucky to win at the lottery, you will never be able to live such a dream. But okay, I'm playing at the lottery because if I'm winning, I know where I will spend my money. So you can do the same. Sometimes you need chance in life also. And who else is able to send space tourists? Russia. Russia, because Russia, they have still working perfectly the Soyuz rocket. And since now they are not taking any more American astronaut, well, actually they change, they will take and make exchange, but it's some seats that are available for space tourists. And if you can pay something like 35 million US dollar, you can get your seat to go to the International Space Station. And who will be next? It will be China, because China is now building own space station, which has now two models, and I can bet that within 1 or 2, maybe 3 years, they will give chance to tourists, to space tourists, to go and to visit their space station. And this is the future also.
I mean, that's really, really interesting. And of course, I mean, I wonder if they actually choose people voluntarily to travel to space. If they do that, I am going to apply and I will go to space. I mean, this is what I said, the never-ending saga of me going to space. But yeah, I mean,
before you go on your tangent of going to space, I have a few questions which have been brewing in my mind because what you've been speaking so far, Mr. Otter, has been amazing. I think you've been very precise in terms of all the questions that we've asked you. And that has led me thinking, number one, when you spoke about defining space tourism, you said how the simulations are also part of it. So for example, if we were to hypothetically open a company which is talking about simulant flights in space on Earth, is that also considered under space tourism? And number two, when we are talking about like going out in space and how you spoke about Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin having the option of how far they have to have the flight up in space, the orbital period and stuff, would we have international norms? So which international laws do we have to follow? Because I know each country have their own airspace laws. So which airspace laws would you have to follow, or do you have to follow almost all norms, and what are the international norms? How do we navigate or how do you navigate the legal space in terms of making space tourism happen? That was a question that came to my mind.
Okay, so to reply to your second questions immediately about international law, actually it's more concerned what is all aeronautical part, because for space it's quite empty. It's nothing which is existing, because if you are a country and you are able to send a rocket to space, I mean, it's possible. You just need approval of the local authority, which is related to aviation, because it's not open just like this to go to space. You need to have something that should be constructed for the future, because it's not very clear. I mean, you can go to space, you can send rockets to space, but you need to take care of all air traffic that is going in between. And who is taking care of that? This is international civil organization related with aviation who is doing this. So this is a point that should be improved. Regarding space tourism, you want to go to space? Okay, just be aware that it's not easy if you are having some, let's say, sickness points, if you don't feel good with your vestibular system. So I would advise already to take some pills against air sickness or seasickness. This will be the first part to enjoy it. Just a little detail, when I was making my zero gravity flight, I made it without any pill, without any injection. I was absolutely motivated to do it normally. I can tell you that after 7 and 8 parabola, I started to become white, after a little bit green, and I was not feeling very good. So even me as an aerobatic pilot, I was somehow suffering of this vestibular activity that was completely disturbed, because you are making 20 times parabolas, 20 times, meaning you get 2 Gs when the aircraft is pulling up, and then is pushing up your zero gravity, and 2 Gs again, meaning it's 20 times like this, and you don't see outside. It's no windows. So your body starts to ask, what's going on? I mean, where am I? What I'm doing? And you start to feel not good. And to give you information also, we were 11 people inside the aircraft, 11 tourists, and out of 11, 3 of them, they vomited. They had to take the bag and to throw up, not during zero gravity because it would be all over, but during this phase in between. It's a lot. I mean, it's almost 1/3 of the people on board that vomited. And about the space tourism, okay, it's not because you did not go to space that you are not a space tourist. As soon as you start to make training that are connected with thrilling flights, centrifuge, simulations, flight simulator, what was also thrilling experiences, you are starting to become a space tourist. I mean, astronaut, they are all named astronaut before they go to space. So it's not because they did not go to space that they are not astronauts. You are qualified like a space tourist, the same. You can make all training on ground. You still did not go to space, but you are doing space training, meaning that you are someone who can be considered as a space tourist. If you practice several modules that are concerning exactly what the space tourist must know, like zero gravity flight, or fly in a military aircraft, or make aerobatical flight, even to eat space food. It's part of a space tourist activity. If you make a medical visit, it's all steps that are leading you to reach the position of someone who will go to space for non-professional reason. So it's simply like this. You don't need to go to space or to have crossed Kármán line to be considered as a space tourist. Me, I wrote a book, How to Become a Space Tourist, because I am doing this kind of training. My goal is to reach Kármán line and then to become an astronaut. So you are space tourist from the moment you start to train yourself in order to go to space.
I mean, I'm actually rethinking my passion or my vision or my dream to go to space, actually, because like he mentioned, like, you know, the things that you have to do or to get that training, it's not that easy how it seems like. And I mean, the whole training process itself sounds more strict, and there was a lot to learn also. And you guys, I mean, you all had to go through a lot of physical strains as well. So it sounds really exhausting at one point, but also interesting. And to get, I will also, to all the viewers that are listening to us, I will also link down the book that was written by Mr. Otter on the description box, so you can go and, you know, check it out.
I found the title of your book extremely fascinating, How to Become a Space Tourist. And, you know, I like the fact that you pointed out that you don't really have to go out to space to, you know, become a space tourist. It starts from the day you start training yourself. That's really important. So I have a friend who was, as a student, selected to visit the Roscosmos and look at the, you know, entire training module that the ISS astronauts have to and cosmonauts have to go through. Some of the activities that you mentioned, which is sitting on the chair on a very fast, you know, RPM, you know, where you have the ears, the ear fluids actually sort of being messed up a little bit. All that happened to him, and I asked him if someone like me, who has always dreamt of going to space, wants to go to space, how do I start my physical journey? How do I start, you know, building my physical fitness as well and my mental agility? And he said, you need to start with like 30 minutes of jogging without stopping. Is that true? Is that how, you know, you would start? What are the other things you would, you know, tell people if you have to start your journey from today, build up for a couple of years? What should you do today to start off your journey tomorrow?
Okay, so to start your journey of tomorrow, first you need to be physically fit. This is the main point. If you have a heart problem, if you have a high pressure, if you are just back from a medical operation, it's not the best for you. So I would suggest to do like me. Me, what I am doing. Me, I'm a former ice hockey player. You know, ice hockey, we have skating rink with ice in Switzerland. I was making it during 20 years. I was like elite sport. And after I changed and I started to make fitness. Now I'm making a lot of fitness sport, meaning walking, running, lifting weights, because I want my body to keep fit, to keep strong. Because what you have to support is what? It's G forces going up. When you are in zero gravity, well, it's perfect. I mean, nobody's complaining. You are just floating. But after you have to come back also, and you get also G forces. And your body, he will not like this acceleration or deceleration. And in order for it to be more easy to support, you need to make your body stronger. So be fit. Don't drink Coca-Cola every day or eat ice cream every day or big pasta. I mean, it's not a good idea because you will get weight, and it's not good to be overweighted to go to space. Did you see any cosmonaut or astronaut that is very large? No, I did not. It's only people who are fit. So take care of your body. It's the first point. Second point, start to think what you can do with your budget, because it's not free of charge. If you want to go to space, you will need to pay for your ticket, or if you are lucky enough, you will find a sponsor or a partner who will pay you to go to space, because it happens. I will give you just one example. The billionaire Japanese Yusaku Maezawa, he took with him to space his employee. He said to him, I'm taking you to space with me, but you will be the one who will make photo of me and record me and film me during the flight. You know, this is what I'm calling the best job in the world. The guy, he was paid to go to space to film his boss. But can you imagine? He was even paid for that. And me, if I want to go,
Wow.
I have to pay $55 million. I mean, this is just amazing. So you see, if you are at the right place at the right time with the correct people, you may have a chance to go to space. Okay, first, physical part. Second, I told about budget. If you are, for example, let's say $5,000 to spend, you can think, okay, what I want to do with this money? You can make a flight in a military jet, for example, and then you will take some G forces. You can make a zero gravity flight. And this is the summit of what you can do on ground. I mean, when you fly weightlessness, zero G, this is the closest moment you can get from being in space, because you are floating really like in International Space Station. And it's nothing else you can compare it with the training. Even G-forces, it's very short. But when you make 26 seconds floating and you are flying like Superman like this inside the aircraft, you can see some videos on my YouTube channel. This is just amazing. Or you can just try this rotating chair. This is the cheapest way to train. You go to the chair. I'm now sitting on a chair which can turn, you know. I can turn like this and ask someone to turn the chair for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, to see how much minutes you will support. And don't forget to put your head left and right every 2 seconds. I'm telling you, after 1 minute, 30 seconds, you will say stop, because we are not trained. We are not used to it. But this is part of the training. And this one is free of charge. You pay for nothing. And if you want really to train something more realistic, then you need to go to Moscow, for example, to Star City, and to try spacesuit. You can try the Sokol spacesuit. It's the one that is behind. This is me inside the Sokol spacesuit here. This spacesuit went to space, as I said, and you can you can really feel like an astronaut or a cosmonaut. For me, I was just missing the rocket to go to space. Okay, I was missing training also, but I mean, you feel like a cosmonaut at this moment. And the second one is Orlan spacesuit. It's a spacesuit that is used when you are making extravehicular activities, meaning when you go to space from International Space Station and you are just floating around and watch the Earth being completely outside the space station. This is also something you can do, and all these parts of the training are making you more and more experienced, sure of yourself, and qualified for your space trip, meaning that you need, if we resume, train physically, get a budget, and plan what you can do with your budget. And if you want to find a sponsor, go and look for a sponsor. I mean, maybe you know some university who wants to make a space experimentation, connect with this space university, tell them, look, I want to go to space and to bring some experimentation. Are you interested? Are you able to pay a part of this experience so that I can pay for my ticket and I will take your experience? Go for sponsor. Do you know someone rich? Ask him, do you want to help me? We are going to space. I want you to come with me. You pay both ticket and we make a big fun. I mean, why not? I mean, some people have really a lot of money and they are just thinking, how can I spend my money? Why not to go to space? And now I will speak about the most important point, which is my space project to go to space. How I want to go to space. This is the most important part because now I'm fighting a lot and working a lot in order to find a sponsor who will help me to go to space. And I can tell you that I have an offer from a space provider to go to space, and it will be 6 seats available inside the capsule. One is for me, because this one, I will use it as a flight commander of this mission, but 5 seats are available. And if 5 people are willing to join me, and they are able either to pay for their tickets, to be sponsorized, to have partners, whatever, they can come inside the capsule with me. And once we have the 6 people and we have the money to pay for the capsule, the flight will be confirmed, 2023 or 2024. This is what I want to show and I want to prove. I want to prove that even if I am not a professional cosmonaut or professional astronaut, even if I am not a billionaire, I can go to space with huge motivation and by trying to connect with all people who could help me to go to space. It can be press, media, university, rich people, or any sponsor who can help me. And I'm taking everybody, you know, as long as they want to come with me to space, they can come if they just provide the money to pay for the tickets. So voila, this is the point I wanted to show. You can go to space by putting in front of you all possible means in order to reach your goal.
That is really inspiring, actually. Like, I hope, you know, your dream to go to space come true, and so that, you know, even Space Smurfs can boast that we had an astronaut on our episode on season 2. So it will be really, really great, and we also look forward to it. I hope it comes true, actually. Yeah.
Aleena, you know what? In fact, with the passion with which Mr. Otter was actually sharing how, you know, the different ways in which you could try to even get a sponsor to go to space, I was really feeling bad. I wish I could have, I would have heard my brother's advice and started investing in stock markets and Bitcoins. Hopefully, I would have had enough money to get another seat on his plane.
When you were thinking that, I was thinking the other way around of how to get into of being a PA of a rich person, so that they will actually invite me to go to space to take the pictures. I'll be happy to do it. I do know how to take good pictures. So if there are any other, you know, multi-millionaire people who are listening to this podcast right now,
our advertisement here.
Yeah.
This is our ad. Please consider us.
Yeah, I'm fluent in English and I can learn other languages if you want me to. And I can also manage to take good photos, and I can manage the space flight with you.
Okay, I'm going to compete with you, Aleena. I'm going to compete with you. I also know how to sing. I will also keep you entertained.
I know how to sing. I know how to act. I know how to keep you filled with jokes all the time.
So we have a tough competition, as you see, Mr. Otter.
Let's move on to the other question. That is, like, since you are the founder of Swiss Space Tourism, and you were talking about all these different training programs and other activities when it comes to going to space and everything, I wanted to know more about, like, what exactly is the Swiss Space Tourism, and what are the things or activities that you provide for the audience or for the people out here.
Okay, excellent. So I will give you the goals of Swiss Space Tourism, because Swiss Space Tourism actually is a non-profit association, but Swiss Space Tourism has several goals. So one of them is to support scientific research in the space field. As I was telling, I'm ready to go to space and to take with me some scientific experience and to try during a 4 minutes of zero gravity flights and to see what the results are. Second point, it's to make members aware of the ecological aspect, the fragility of the planet, and the environmental issues. It means that when you are reaching a Kármán line and you have this overview effect, most of the astronauts are telling that they come back to Earth being completely changed, and they have a different view of the planet, that it's very fragile, that the atmosphere layer is very thin, and that we need to protect the planet against all pollutions that can touch, because we have nothing else where we can live, nowhere else. Promote space tourism in the world. How I am doing this? First of all, now, because I'm communicating with you, I'm communicating with media, I'm trying to connect with the big companies and to find sponsors and partners. And it will be even bigger if I reach my goal. I'm coming back from space. Then I will say, look, it is possible. And it will be big media impact in this case. Promote access to space for the largest numbers of active members, meaning that if you become a member of Swiss Space Tourism, and suddenly I have an option to take with me, let's say 5 people, if someone is telling me, look, Swiss Space Tourism, we like what you do, I am putting on the table X millions dollars, you go to space, take 5 of your members. But in this case, I have choice. I mean, I will pick up 5 people of Swiss Space Tourism Associations, and they will be the number 1 to join me into space. This is what could happen. And also to transmit the knowledge acquired on space tourism to as many people as possible. As I said, space tourism, it's a lot of modules of training, of experience, which I did not finalize. It's still a lot of things that I did not do yet. For example, I want to go to the extravehicular activities into the swimming pool. You know, you are putting a spacesuit Orlan, you go to the big, huge pool, and inside the pool, it's a mock-up of International Space Station. And you are floating around like if you were doing a spacewalk. This is also something I want to do. And the last goal of Swiss Space Tourism Association is to help its president and founder, meaning myself. That's why I created this company, because it should help me to go to space. And with the serious of what we are doing, Swiss Space Tourism, its members, and all actors that are turning around, I hope to reach this goal. And that's why I'm moving forward and hard in order to succeed.
Wow, that's really amazing. Yep.
It is amazing and it is inspiring. I feel like, you know, at some point in time, all of us as children have dreamt of being an astronaut, of going to space. But I've seen that, you know, eventually the passion or the fire starts dimming and it starts like wearing out. Versus whenever we are speaking to you, you talk with so much passion. You talk with so much, you know, zest of always wanting to go out there. And I find that really fascinating. And my next question is basically that, is how have you kept this passion and fire burning? What is it that really inspired you and keeps motivating you to want to go there? Were there any popular culture books or movies or something that sparked their interest as in your childhood? Or how did this crazy passion start?
Yeah.
I mean, this passion started when I understood that by setting up a goal in your life, to fight for this goal and to be able to reach it was giving me a lot of pleasure, of happiness, and of self-confidence. And actually, I should say that many things of my life I did because I had a goal. For example, at the age of 24, I became the youngest ice hockey international referee in Switzerland. You know, referee, it's not easy task because you are always fighting with people who are unhappy, and you need to be neutral, to judge the things, to be clear, to know your subject perfectly, and not to be intimidated by people. And I was only 24, and I reached such position because I was making a lot of sport. I was believing in myself. I was working hard. I knew all the rules of the game. I was having good contact with other colleagues, and I was absolutely honest. I mean, if I was making a mistake, I was recognizing it and telling, look, guys, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I'm correcting it. And I was always accepted very good because I was able to make good job and also to recognize when I was making a mistake. This is one of the part. Other part, I was also fixing me some goals to drive everything that was possible. So I passed my driving license for motorbike, for big truck, for buses, for airplane, for helicopter, for seaplane, for gyrocopter. And you know what I'm driving now? I'm driving train. I'm driving train also. So it's just absolutely amazing. I'm driving everything that I want because I'm fixing the goal. Now I want to drive this, and step by step, I reach all my goals. And the next step I need to do is to drive boats. And this will be when I will be retired. I'm keeping boats for my retired times. Okay, something else also, jobs. I was changing jobs several times. Mostly I was working in aviation, business aviation, airlines, or flight dispatching. And I was never afraid to quit a job, to quit if I was not satisfied, because I received also better offer with higher salary, higher position. I was always believing in myself and telling, yes, why not to go forward, to take this new opportunity and to improve and to learn. And I was making my life like this. I had 9 different jobs. I was also professional fireman. You know, somehow I realized the dream of all little kids. I became fireman. I became pilot. I made military career also. I'm driving all big trucks. And now I want to become a space tourist. Which kids doesn't dream of this kind of things? You know, it's like to make all dreams come true.
Wow, that is absolutely inspiring. I'm mind blown right now. I think I've hardly ever met someone who is this much of a go-getter as you are. And I say that in the most positive sense of being a go-getter, in the sense when you set your mind to something, you absolutely go ahead and achieve it, which is brilliant. And I personally feel like this session has been so motivating for me, because all of us have had those space dreams, but we as we grow old, we become a little shy about telling people about our dreams. And when I heard you say this so clearly with so much conviction, it has given me a little bit of motivation to also say it with conviction and work towards it, just with the same amount of passion, saying, yeah, someday I should work towards, going to space. I'm young. I should be able to invest money enough at some point in time in the next 10 years to buy a ticket. And I definitely am healthy at this stage. I can maintain it to, make it a possibility. So thank you so much for, motivating and, not just keeping your fire going, but also sparking those little bit of, interest in all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I was thinking is that, I'm actually doing a podcast with someone who just ticks off his dream jobs like a to-do list, where I am actually struggling to tick off my to-do list for a week. Actually, it is, struggling, as in, not that I'm lazy or anything, please don't think like that, but it's just, I find it difficult in like managing my time. Like sometimes unexpected things happen. You might have some other things that you might have to address at home or with your friends, or I don't know, something might come up and we might not be able to do that to-do list completely, right? And I feel really, really inspired actually to actually have this conversation with someone who has like done almost everything that he wanted to do. And I think we also should follow a similar pattern with our life. Like, if you guys want to do something, just go for it. Don't think about, whether I will be able to do it. First of all, what people will say. Second of all, whether you will be able to do it. If not you, who is going to believe in you? Just do the things that you would love to do, and always make time for yourself and figure out things that can actually benefit you. And in that matter, Mr. Otter here has done a great job. And I'm still waiting in the coming years that hopefully soon itself that, you will get to go to space. And definitely Space Smurfs will be more than happy to say that, okay, we have an astronaut in our speakers list right now. So it will be so inspiring, right, Pooja?
Absolutely is. I think I am absolutely inspired. I think I was going towards, I had an early start of the day, and I was worried as to, will I be in enough, matching the energy levels. But I think just speaking with you has made me so enthusiastic and so charged. I'm so glad we got to interact.
Yeah. And please go ahead.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to add one last point regarding space tourism formation and training, because it's important to understand that if you want to go to space by doing a suborbital flight, which is just a parabola like this, you should expect a training of 3 days. Not more than 3 days will be enough. But if you want to go to the International Space Station, then you should expect a training of 3 to 4 months. It's absolutely not the same. And medically speaking, also, you should think that if you make a suborbital flight, it's like to pass a medical visit for a private pilot. It's not a big deal, it's possible. But if you want to go to International Space Station, it's more like an airline pilot. You need to be fit, but the different level exists. So put also a goal that you will be able to reach. Me, I'm starting from the beginning. I cannot say I want to go to the moon. No, step by step. Put first step to cross Kármán line. Second step, why not to go to make orbital flight? But it's not the same amount of money, and medically it's also more complicated. And if you win really at lottery $100 million, then you can aim to go to the moon with Yusaku Maezawa and to turn around. Really put your goals step by step and go forward until you are sure that you can either succeed or that you will not succeed. In this case, if you will not succeed and you realize it, you stop and you change goal.
I mean, that's actually something that everyone should think of. Like, taking a giant leap is not that easy as you think. There are a lot of preparations that that you have to make before you take that giant leap. And I'm sure even Neil Armstrong might have done that. So it's not like one day you just think, okay, I'm going to moon, and you just go to the moon. No, like Mr. Otter correctly pointed out here, it's going to be a step-by-step process, like day-by-day process, starting from making sure that you're fit, we're healthy, and physically as well, to go to a place where you will have a lot of challenges also coming in. It's not as easy as you live on Earth as well. So with that said, and having a podcast coming to an end, I'm on behalf of Space Smurfs, I'm so happy that we could actually have you here as our expert, Mr. Otter, and also to the audience out there. Don't forget about the interactive session happening on this Saturday. Join us on Instagram, and we will see you there. Till then, this is your host, Aleena, signing out, and
Pooja here. See you soon.
Yeah.
Space
see you
lovers.
soon. Bye. Keep smurfing.
Thank you. Bye-bye.